Okay, I really want to echo what I said before, but at this particular time, because it is Executive VP spot, I do want to say that I echo what I said before. However, as Executive Vice President, my goal would basically be to get a cohesive unit with the different committees, okay? With the VP of Communications, VP of Community Service, all of that, VP of Development. And as Executive VP, I would work to make sure that there's a lot of communication between those different committees, that we're all on the same page. I think that an Executive VP is a very critical role for the organization because it makes sure, because all those other organizations who truly do a lot of the work. Okay, so the Executive VP is a critical role. So they need to make sure that they have everybody on the same accord. And I'm pretty much going to leave it at that, and I'm going to open it up for questions if that's okay, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll take 2 minutes for questions. So question for Kenya, and this is for the Office of Executive Vice President.
I have a question.
Barry.
What did you learn from your time on the board this year that you'll carry into next year?
Oh, I learned so much. Like I told people before, and I tell people this all the time, I think that Urban League Young Professionals is a gold mine, and I don't say that meaning financially. I just mean that there are so many different resources and skills that you can gather by being on the board. And I think really the key thing that I learned is communication. Communication is critical. That you have to talk to each other, that you have to know what's going on, that you have to support one another as well. Because there were times, you know, and I'll just be honest, that I felt like sometimes people didn't support each other. But I think that's critical, that if you're in a leadership role, that you have to support one another. So I think those are 2 of the biggest things I think I learned step 1, but really support and communication.
Okay, next question. Yes.
One thing this is my first year in the organization, but one thing I noticed as a newcomer that there was a lot of things going on in different committees, but when it was brought back to the general body, it seemed like there was so much going on that members were just overwhelmed with that information and really how to process it. How do you feel you're going to address that to avoid it in the coming year?
I would say that's why I had those 3 points up there, because I didn't want to get you all convoluted and, you know, just throwing a whole bunch of things out at you. There should be focus in everything that we do. You know, sometimes people feel like the more we do, that means that we're more visible or that we're doing more, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. Sometimes you have programs and only a few people show up. Well, what's the good of that? You know, find out what your members want, and then that's what you give them. You don't give them a whole bunch of stuff and just say, okay, we'll just give you a cornucopia of things, and then you just choose and select what you want to do. Your time is valuable. Our energy is valuable when we plan these events. So we need to make sure that we're focused on whatever we do. So I would say, as Executive VP, what I would do is, I would have the President choose a few items to tackle, and we would tackle those with quality programs.
All right, thank you, Kenya. Our next candidate for the office